All right. Well, boy, you guys have engaged. I've had brickbats, bouquets, criticism, anger, when we reacted to the surprising news that New Zealand has issued sanctions against two Israeli ministers, members of the Israeli government, banning them from travelling to New Zealand. A move that came, well, to every New Zealanders in the street and voters, completely out of the blue. It was a move that our Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Peters, who was busy getting his picture taken with Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer on a diplomatic sweep through Europe, it was a move that Winston Peters seemed fine with, even though he hadn't discussed it with the New Zealand people, and he has railed against internationalism, the World Economic Forum, and the wokeness that amongst the international community says you have to hate Jews and hate Israel. So how did this all come about? Is it a reflective of a breakdown in diplomatic relations between New Zealand and Israel? And what on earth is going on here? I also have new context for this. The United Nations is having a special debate and conference in the next few weeks about the two-state solution for Israel. And no doubt, people with their own agenda who work for our foreign affairs at the UN decided that we wanted to be part of that. And it is most likely that this move has made it easier for New Zealand to virtue signal with all the other virtue signalers at the United Nations in the days ahead. So to find out what went on, how the Israelis found out, and what, from an Israeli perspective, this is all about. By the way, Winston Peters says he'll join us on Tuesday morning. Logistics do not allow us to talk to him live before then. And his people did respond. They didn't tell us to get lost. They said Tuesday morning you can have an interview. So wait for that. Alon Roth-Snir is the Israeli ambassador to New Zealand. He joins us by phone now. Ambassador, a very good morning to you.
Very good morning, Sean.
Is there, to your knowledge, some form of diplomatic dispute currently between Israel and New Zealand?
I think that two democracies should find good ways to talk together, to dialogue, to find ways of cooperation, to speak through their embassies and not through boycotts. So I do hope that we will find a way to do what we did with, many Arab countries around us when we managed to sign peace agreements and to maintain them. And this was through dialogue, cooperation, and embassies. So I do hope that even though we are...
Ambassador, you're not asking my question. At present, are you aware, is Israel aware of any diplomatic dispute or disagreement between our two nations?
No, I don't think so. I think that even though this decision is outrageous and unacceptable, and we will have a special Israeli cabinet decision taken on it next week, I do hope that we will be able to go back to real, as I said, dialogue and cooperation schemes and not boycotting as we are just seeing now.
They've been described as sanctions from Norway, Australia, Canada, the UK, France and New Zealand. France, I think, is involved. Have you had any demand from Mr. Peters or the New Zealand government as to what you might be being sanctioned over?
No. It came as a surprise, and no, we didn't have.
Have the two cabinet ministers involved, and I have to make the observation, Ambassador, that even supporters of your country and Jewish groups in New Zealand say they're both ratbags. Have either of them been convicted of international criminal charges or crimes?
No, as far as I know, no. And, we have a very strong judicial system. Israel is a democracy which enables free speech and free opinions. And no, I think that Israel can check itself and check its dignitaries by itself. And as far as we know, they are ministers, democratically elected ministers in a democratic fellow country. So the whole notion of sanctions is a very wrong one.
Yeah, because we haven't, if they are sanctions, you haven't been told by New Zealand what it is you're doing that we don't like.
Well, again, there is an Israeli cabinet, there is an Israeli government. Israel, the whole context, which is very well known, is a context of very vicious war that Israel is holding right now with a terror organization in Gaza that is threatening Israel, that is saying time and again that they will repeat the 7th of October, an annihilation of Israel. And this is the real context in which we should check the things that are happening and the declarations that are being given. And as I said, those are democratically elected ministers in a democracy, and this is the only way we should judge it.
Have you had, or are you seeking a meeting with Mr. Peters or New Zealand officials to find out what has gone on here? Have you lodged a formal diplomatic protest?
Yes, of course. I'm talking to the Foreign Ministry, to MFAT, during the last few days, and I will talk with them again next week. We are keeping this channel of conversation, and yes, I think they know very clearly what we think of this decision. And as I said, I do hope that the right way of cooperating and dialoguing, and I repeat, the issue of embassies in both sides, which is very important. On July, we are going to celebrate 50 years since the establishment of the Israeli embassy in New Zealand. And I think it's prime time to see a Kiwi embassy in Israel that will enable us to talk rather than to sanction.
Our current diplomatic mission that covers Israel is where? It's hundreds of miles away. Is it Turkey?
In Turkey, yes, and again, as a diplomat, and I've done few missions abroad, I know how important it is to sit in a capital city, to have the right people, the right interlocutors in the other side, to assess the situation from the ground, to be able to send the right advices to your own capital. And this can be done only when you have a real embassy on the ground, especially in an area that is so complex, so difficult, like the Middle East and Israel.
I mentioned in the intro to this, Ambassador, that there is a discussion on this coming up at the United Nations. And we are likely to see a raft of countries, and I think Macron is in the process of or has already recognised Palestine as a state. Do you think New Zealand was trying to get on the right side with the cool kids at the United Nations by joining this very curious sanction move?
I cannot advise New Zealand what to do and what not to do. I'm an Israeli
we seem happy enough to advise your country, Ambassador.
Yeah, that's true. But I'll just say that, unfortunately, what we see in the UN time and again is a festival against Israel that is totally detached from the facts on the ground. I'll give you the example of what's happening right now in Gaza concerning, for example, food. This organization, GHF, has dispatched 19 million meals of food, and we enabled thousands of lorries to come in, and still the UN is calling the situation in Gaza a hunger situation, etc.
But reports are also suggesting that Hamas are attacking those aid convoys and killing Gazans.